everybody, welcome back to my channel, Figure Depot here on YouTube. Today we're looking at a custom figure that I made. I've been wanting to make a Dick Tracy for years, and I actually picked this figure up, the Spirit figure, which is the base from the Spirit movie that came out like 10 years ago. Picked it up and used the wrong kind of paint and basically ruined it. So several years later, fast forward, decided to take another stab at it, and so I think it turned out really good. What I did, for those of you who are trying to figure out what paints bond with plastic well, I don't have an airbrush kit, which would probably make this really fantastic, and could use model paint and airbrush, and would probably make my life really easy, but I don't have that. So what I did is just brush paint acrylic on there and then coat it with Mod Podge, with the matte finished Mod Podge. So it's still a little shinier than I want it to be, but that shine kind of helps blend a little bit. I put like maybe 17, 18, maybe close to 20 coats on this guy, because painting that yellow over black, it just took a whole lot of coats to get it right. But very pleased with the way it turned out, and really enjoying this figure so far, and very glad to have it. It would be awesome if they would reboot the franchise and we could get some Dick Tracy, another Dick Tracy movie going. And it's been 30 years almost since the last one, so it'd be really cool. It's about time they could reboot it. I think Warren Beatty probably still has the rights to the franchise, and I don't know what it'd take to get him to get it rolling or turn them loose and let somebody else take the reins. But that would be awesome. So enough about that. Let's look here at the figure a little closer, and then I'll get into the articulation. So here you can see we have I painted over his mask. Ended up having to just paint the whole face one color, and if I'd had a little more time, I would have sanded off the mask and made it smooth with the face. I actually glopped a bunch of paint on there, but when it dried, it sunk in and revealed the line again because it wasn't there when it was wet. So I tried, but if you're gonna do it, I would recommend just sanding the nose and that cheekbones down a little bit. The gun I'm using, the Tommy gun there, is from the Hammerhead Marvel Legends figure, and had to shave off part of that handle because the grip hole for it on the Spirit figure is very, very small. So I painted the hat, the coat, and then the tie there I painted the stripes on, and I left the inside of the coat black to kind of give it a comic feel. With a lot of the pop art images, promotional images for the 1990 film, you could see that the undercoat was black, inside of the coat, and then the outside was yellow. I think it gives it a nice effect. So that's what I decided to do. There's a look at the back of the figure. Again, several coats of paint. And I actually forgot, now that I'm looking at it, forgot to go back and clean the band of his hat up, so I'll go back and do that next. But yeah, so very pleased with it. I haven't moved this thing around a whole lot since painting it, because I don't want the joints to rub the paint away. So like here's one. It's actually holding pretty well, but it looks like it might be trying to chip a little. So I'm just a little bit scared to move that around too much. So, but the arms rotate 360, and then here, behind the tie, I didn't get that painted good. I think I had this tie underneath the coat, and it was mashing it up, and so it slid the coat over. So when I took the tie back out, so I wouldn't get yellow paint on it, once it was dry, I took it back out, and now I had a gap there, so I'm going to have to go back and fill that with black. But the arms still rotate, and everything still bends. Like I said, I'm just little nervous about how far I want to go with that, because I don't know if it's going to chip the rest of that paint off. Probably have to go back and touch it up, but it will bend almost 90 degrees, the original figure, so I'll have to mess with that some more. Real good articulation with the legs. He'll go front pretty far, go back just a hair. He will T-joint all the way out. Hindered a little bit by the coat for your posing, but it will do it with the coat out of the way. It does have a thigh cut. We do have single jointed knees, and there's a slight ankle pivot, and he has a slight ankle rocker, and there is waist swivel. So really good articulation for the figure. You can get him in some good dynamic poses even after I got a hold of him. So very pleased with the figure and how it turned out. His wrist swivel and hinge. So definitely, even after I've modified him, I'm still able to pose him around really well. So just to some comparisons here, I did a repaint of this big boy. It is my big boy figure, but it's a repaint of Mattel. I saw that Ric Flair and was like, you know, if he had a little mustache on there and had his hair painted black, he'd kind of almost look like Al Pacino. So that's my big boy action figure, and you can see it's a 7-inch figure, so it scales well with the Mattel figures because they're taller than the 6-inch scale figures like your DC icons, let's say. You can see they're shorter. He stands at about 6.5 inches to the top of his hat. And then if we slide him over a little bit and do our DC Direct Jim Gordon, looks really good with him. They're in scale with one another. I made a custom Batman figure. Knew who was going to do that. I made a custom Batman figure. Come on. These DC Direct figures didn't have spectacular articulation, so they're not always cooperative. I'm just going to prop him up against the wall. I made a custom Batman 89 figure out of a Venom body and the NECA Batman head, which I had the purple video game one, so I had to repaint the head and the cowl to get it to match. But you can see he's in scale pretty well with him. And also the flat top figure I'm using a Marvel Legends Hammerhead for. And you can see he's a bit shorter, but that's okay. I'm going to, you know, you can make it work. You can push him in or out of the frame and do your angles and perspective shots and get him to fit into your camera work there. So anyway, and just for one last comparison, I have my classic 1990 Dick Tracy movie action figure with the Death in the Family Tommy gun, but because this figure didn't actually come with a Tommy gun. He came with a billy club, and of course his holster and his Colt 45 there. But anyway, I just put the Death in the Family Joker figure from DC Icons. I stole his Tommy gun and put it on there, and actually my buddy Rico hooked me up with that figure and gun. So thank you, Rico, appreciate you. And yeah, so there we go. These figures didn't come with trench coats. The only figure in the whole line that came with a trench coat you can't even find for under like about $1,000. because they were delayed release, and then they were just shipped over to Sears, Canada, actually, and so very hard to find, very rare, and collectors hold on to them, and people who know what they're worth and find one are going to charge ridiculous prices to get a hold of one. So basically none of the figures had trench coats, and so I'm contemplating making one for this guy. I've got some yellow fabric here that I think will do the trick, so I'll give that a stab here. I've never sewn doll clothes or anything like that together, so it'll be interesting to see how that comes out, but that's my plan anyway. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and if you have any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll answer them. Thank you. See you guys later.